Hello and welcome to another edition of the Filmhounds Podcast, a film podcast by film fans for film fans. I'm Paul Klein, the features editor, and I'm joined by David Garlick, our god, I guess. He created all things, and
I need a little bit higher than God.
a little bit high. Okay, God's
Ye-
manager,
Universe,
No, sorry.
Cronus,
I'm very humble.
leader
I'll
of the
just
Titans, and father of Zeus.
Galacticus.
I'll just go with President.
It's not higher than God.
Okay,
I'm humble.
we're,
I'm humble.
we're joined by our president, David Garlick, as always. And as always, Katie Hogan, the co-deputy editor extraordinaire.
Yeah.
There she is. There she is. With a happy, happy voice.
So happy. So ecstatic.
Three of the most dour-voiced people in all of Filmhounds got to do the podcast. Sounded like a support group for depressives. And
That's perfect.
today,
That's film critics.
Hey, it's how we do it at Filmhounds. And today's edition of the Filmhounds podcast, we're going to be talking about the very topical, the very up to date, the only happened a week ago Academy Awards, the Oscars. We're going to be discussing, what we thought of it, what we thought was good, what we thought was bad.
No, Paul. Sorry,
What?
you forgot to mention this was recorded at the after party at the Oscars. So just make some noise so it sounds a bit like we're at a party.
Oh yeah, this is being recorded at the after party of the Oscars. And Adrian, shut the fuck up! Stop going on, man. We get it.
He just threw his chin at me.
Stop trying to make a baby with me, Kieran. I don't want to have a baby with you. Oh no, the Amelia Perez people are singing again.
Quickly, run.
So that's what today's thing's going to be about. All things Oscars. If you haven't watched the Oscars, where you been living? If you're a film fan, you should have been watching it. Most important night of the year.
Do you need to really?
Well, do you know what? Actually, can I start? Because I'm on a roll already. Can I start by saying?
Yeah, I know.
You have started.
You haven't stopped.
Just carry on.
I just want to say, before we get into the actual Oscars itself, the ITV coverage of the Oscars is shocking.
Okay.
Shocking. Okay. I need to say this now, and I'm sure David will edit this out, right? There are more than 3 people that can host a film show. It doesn't just have to be Ali Plum, Jonathan Ross, and Alex Zane. Okay. Now, I've got nothing against them personally, but I am fed up of Jonathan Ross being considered a film critic. He's not a film critic. He's a chat show host with delusions of nerd culture. And also,
do you know what, though? I actually going to defend Jonathan Ross here, believe it or not.
Did he shag your granddaughter?
Yeah. I saw him at the Lord of the Rings exhibition once, and now we're true friends.
I saw him at stuff. He does wear quite impressive cardigans, and as a cardigan connoisseur, I respect the hustle.
Do you know what? I actually appreciated him as a host of the show, because first off, I was like, why do we have 3 people discussing the Oscars where we keep cutting back to the red carpet? Nobody's there, cutting back. I got a bit fed up of that.
Is it it?
But once I accepted it, yeah, because they kept cutting back to the red carpet. There was nobody there.
Is it just adverts for in America? Is that why they do it like that?
I don't know.
They cut back to the studio during the ceremony because there's adverts. But
yeah.
The problem is, and it was the same last year because ITV have had it just 2 years. It used to be on Sky Movies, and Alex Zane did it. My problem is, I don't think Jonathan Ross is that good at a host. But the guests they get both years have been atrocious, right? Last year, Faye Ripley, actor of Cold Feet fame, said, I know this is last year's one, but I can't get over this, said that Oppenheimer was like an episode of Emmerdale.
Maybe she loves it. Maybe she's a big Emmerdale fan.
That's actually great.
No, she said it as a pejorative. This year, they had absolute legend and actor I love, Jason Isaacs. Hello to Jason Isaacs. But he spent the whole time talking about how he doesn't like award shows. The fuck are you doing on a panel about an award show
Hey,
then?
Paul, you can't see on the podcast, but I'm holding my money up.
Do you know what that? Okay, right. So, do you know the names of the two women who are on the show? Because I forgot to look this up.
Mariella Frostrup was
That's
the
it. Yeah.
middle-aged woman, and
Yep.
I
Woman
cannot
in
remember for
black.
the life of me the younger woman who was actually good.
She's a journalist, isn't she?
Yeah, but
Thought
also,
so.
and this is the thing, can we not just get like a panel of like film people? Like, why? Like
Can I
Mariella?
can I just
Go.
jump in, Paul? I'm not going to cut this, but can you? I'm going to include this in the podcast, but can you not start a sentence by saying, "Oh, you're probably going to cut this," but then go on about it for ages? Because if I'm going to cut it, say it quick and we can move on. Because
Oh my
yeah,
God.
now we there's a 5-minute podcast.
Whatever.
Oh, I didn't watch the ITV one. I think I watched just the ceremony the day after because I could not stay up. Did you both stay up and watch it?
I did stay up and watch it.
I didn't watch all of it. I stayed until I think it was just after the Bond tribute.
Oh, I fast forwarded through that. So
Yeah, I had to
I
sit
can't.
through. I had to sit through that one.
No, it's just I don't know. I just thought Mariella Frostrup was awful.
I agree. She was awful. She basically was just shitting
Just
on
hated
the other
everything.
woman. Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
feel bad that we
shitting on
don't
the
know
other
her
woman.
name.
Do you know what? Hang on.
Yeah, I love it defending someone, but you're like, who the
She
fuck
was
is she?
the thing is though, she was really good. Everything she said, even if she didn't like something, she came back with something very concise and she kind of looked at it from both sides, but then gave a very well-rounded reply or like analytical reply to what Mariella Frostrup was saying. Frostrup was incredibly annoying. She just everything was I disagree with you, and it was shit because it was, and she kept giving snide remarks about
Is it
about Honora, about the substance, and it was just horrendously annoying.
is it the Good Morning Britain setup? Whenever I've seen it, they have to have two people who just argue. And I'm like, who the hell can watch this at 7 in the
I
morning?
don't think so. The other person is L. O'Seely Wood. I hope I've not butchered your name there, L. Because you were
Well,
very
we
good.
love you, however we pronounce your name.
You were very good. But no, Mariella also was like, I don't like nudity in films. And it's like, all right, you prude. But she was just like, she had like a massive problem with the fact that a film about a sex worker had sex in it. It's a film about, it's like, this is, and my point that I made was, it's like, that's like going into a like, you're going into a Sean Baker sex worker film, right? You're going to get sex. It's a Sean Baker sex worker film. It's like going into a Mike Lee film going, I don't like uncomfortable dinners. It's a Mike Lee film. You're going to get an uncomfortable dinner. It's a Mike Lee film. I cheered when I saw Hard Truths and there was an uncomfortable dinner. I'm like, yeah, it's a Mike Lee movie.
I go into films, or I try not to as much anymore now, blind. So Honora, I genuinely didn't know. And I think I said before, I went on my birthday and I was like on my own. I was like,
Oh,
oh, what's this? What's going on here?
hello.
Happy
With a tub of
birthday.
Vaseline and a guilty conscience.
Do you take well, that's another question, isn't it? Well, we can just put this out to anyone listening. Have you ever taken Vaseline into the cinema? Please email Katie at filmhounds.co.uk.
Yeah, it was a well, like that person that was caught having a J. Arthur in Love Lies Bleeding. Do you remember that went viral? There was a guy having giving himself a hand shandy.
What?
I
Do you not
didn't
remember
notice
that?
that.
It went viral. It went viral. Kate O'Brien was outraged about it, but yeah, apparently somebody was some guy obviously was having a J. Arthur crank in Love Lies Bleeding.
When did they start putting the cameras facing the audience? Because that was the end of cinema, not Netflix. I stopped going to cinema as soon as the cameras were facing the audience.
We when I worked at the Odeon in Wimbledon, we used to have the screens, and we would watch when we knew a scary film was out. We'd be like, everyone watch screen 7. Why? Because it's about to get to one of the scary bits in Insidious, and you'd watch everyone chuck their popcorn in the air. That was fun. But I thought Mariella Frostrup I thought she was particularly awful, and I feel like the reason they had someone like that on there is that they don't want to pack it full of film nerds to cater to the average viewer. This is an award show that's on at midnight. The only people staying up to watch Jonathan Ross's Oscar coverage are film nerds. So you don't
Yeah.
need to cater to my dad or to your muggle on the street. You need to
Muggle on the
cater
street.
to film nerds that are staying up until 4 a.m. with their little ballots going, "Ooh." Well, they're not going to get someone from Filmhouse, but they could get
Well, they
me.
should. But I was gonna
I'm
say,
available,
like,
Jonathan. I'm available.
After
you were
slagging
just
him
shitting
off.
on Jonathan Ross earlier. If anyone,
I'm a
It's
big
the
fan of Jonathan
drama that he
Ross.
wants.
I like Jonathan Ross as a host, and also I used to love his film, whatever year it was, show that he used to put on before Claudia Winkleman drove that into the ground.
But what
I
was your
just
favorite
don't.
year?
I just wouldn't consider him a film critic. I wouldn't consider him a film critic.
I don't know,
Can we?
some of his insight was quite interesting. It was more varied than, some of the other more famous air quote critics. Sorry, we're being told to move on. We're talking too much about the IT coverage. IT
I
coverage?
Anyway,
ITV.
but anyway, moving on from that.
moving
Wait,
on.
no, one more thing. It was something that
Okay, one
Jason
more.
Isaac said. So,
That he
okay,
doesn't like acceptance speeches.
well, I was gonna say I love that Jason Isaacs was there, was actually speaking, that he was being honest about stuff. He was sounded bitter, but I totally 100% understood what he was talking about, because I was like, yes, this is exactly what award ceremonies are like. You don't like them, but it was something he said about the films that Mariella Prestrop was just shitting on, and then the other woman was actually being like, actually, do you know what? I like this because of this reason. He said that he watched a Nora with his daughters.
Yeah.
So
But
just sit with that for a minute. I don't know how old his daughters were, but that's not a family watch film. But I'm glad that he said, he was just like, look, I didn't like it, but my daughters loved it. So he wasn't saying like I hate it because of this. He was just like, it wasn't for me. It was too much sex, but my daughters absolutely adored it. So he came from it at another side. He was there for the middle, and after he left, which was quite funny, he was like, I'm shooting tomorrow. Bye. We're stuck with that poor woman who was coming up with like decent answers, and then Mariella Prestrop just shitting on everything.
I felt like at one point Jonathan Ross showed his hand when I think it was Frostrup said in the to be balanced, and he went, "We don't want to be balanced," and I was like, "See, now you've shown your hand. You don't want to be balanced. You want to poo on the stuff you don't like. And you want to big up the stuff you do like." And
it sounds like you two, doesn't it, really?
well,
So
no, but the problem is that it was at odds with the whole tone of the actual ceremony, which I think whoever wrote this Oscars ceremony and Conan O'Brien as the host nailed the tone. Because for the past couple of years, the Oscars have just been films are shit, they're too long, animations for babies, who cares about film? It's all crap. Here's some awards. And you go,
Yeah.
why are people not watching the
yeah.
Oscars? Well, you're going up there, and what's happening is you're getting a load of Hollywood elites. You're letting your Hollywood elite actors lecture about whatever it is, Ukraine or Gaza or whatever, and you're going, oh, but films though, who cares about films? And it's like, well, you care about
Yeah.
films. You're an actor, you bellend. This year, I know, but this year it was like, let's celebrate the craft of filmmaking. Let's enjoy the fact that we're making movies, and I think Conan struck such a good tone.
More specifically, independent film. They
Yeah.
made a point that
Exactly.
independent film was coming up tops for most, like
Exactly.
mostly across the board.
Did you
Yeah.
guys, sorry, it was actually cut off, but did you hear they they cut off the show, but introduced best film podcast, and I've got the results in.
Oh, who are the nominees? I don't care.
Don't worry. So, best, thank you, Academy, for letting us introduce it because you cut it off. Best film podcast goes to Film Hounds Film Podcast. And on the stage now is Katie and Paul. Here's your moment.
I'll be
Thanks.
brief.
Okay, we don't have time. Let's move on. Uh,
Can someone take my chewing gum and can I start
Yeah.
hitting on my wife in front of everyone? I just want to
Begging
thank
for
the
more kids.
I just want to sing my acceptance speech and
That
thank
was the low
sex
point, though.
workers. No,
The most painful part for me was the cut off when someone, there was a group of four. Was it the animation? Yeah, you have to remember. But one of
Was the
them
se-
was a
Documentary, isn't it?
documentary.
no, one of them was the sound
Was
people because I thought it was ironic that a sound person made no noise.
Yeah, they cut it off and looked so sad walking off, and it crushed me. They need to make a story about him, a film about him and his life, just to like balance it out.
Rampaging afterward.
Yeah.
Some of these
Drug.
sound engineers, like some of these sound engineers, they get nominated many times. So when they actually do get an award, like give them time to
Well,
say thanks.
So for me, I thought that the whole tone about celebrating the craft of film, getting people out to do the five people do a little speech, but it was about cinematographers and costume design. I
Yeah.
thought was so good because it was like, yes, let's celebrate the craft.
I saw Katie's face when you said about the craft and everything, like not interested. I would go back to our Oscar prediction one. Did we talk about the craft? We left it off. We want the
We
stars.
did.
We want the best film. We want the best director.
Because we only had time to talk about a certain number of awards.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, we didn't have an Oscar 4 hour runtime to
We
go
need Gavin
through
back. He actually did the research.
Well,
Yeah, we don't have a
nerd.
4 hour runtime. This is what we
No.
all need to remember.
But to be honest, with the craft awards, all the people nominated, I feel like they all deserve it.
Yeah.
So there's no real argument like, oh, I don't think they should have won. That person should have won. It's just like they're all amazing. The one person won, good for them. But the reason I was making the face, like the reason why you liked it when those actors were each being spotlighted and talking about like the craft of the costume, I found it really what's the word? Is it saccharine? I just
I
felt
get
like they
that.
were gushing for gushing's sake, and
I get
it made
that.
me a little bit sick. As much as I love each of those actors, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe any of those actors had that much of a connection with the people working on the crafts.
I get what you mean. I would say I would prefer it about the craftsmen than when they do it for the other acting nominees, because that then I do feel like falls into, you know, Hollywood backslapping. I thought that when Robert Downey Jr. did the supporting actor little spiel, I thought his was quite good actually, because Robert Downey Jr.'s got that Robert Downey Jr.-ness,
Which I dislike greatly.
That was very annoying. I found him very annoying.
Me too. It's
Just,
like,
I would say,
you're not
just
Tony
call
Stark
out the
anymore.
names. I preferred it when Amy Poehler just came on and just made really like typical dad jokes, then read the nominees and left. Like, I'm with that way of doing the awards, please. Can we just do that?
in terms of this year's awards as a whole, it wasn't as disastrous as it's been in previous. Nobody got slapped.
Boring.
Well, maybe, but you know, there were. I thought it was very good. Like I say, the opening monologue that Conan O'Brien did made me howl with laughter.
I did enjoy
funny.
that, to be honest.
I enjoyed it.
He was good throughout. Actually, he had some funny random comments, rather, and I felt there was a few jokes where he knew they weren't going to land well for the audience in front of him, but I think he could be like, people at home will get this.
Well, the two best jokes of the night were him when he said, what was it? Honora features 525 utterances of the word fuck, which is 3 less than Carla Sofia Gascon's publicist said when she went on Twitter, which I thought was amazing. And the other one was when they brilliantly got the firefighters of California on stage to celebrate what they did during the wildfire. The lovely moment. And one of them when we need to remember that some houses were lost this year, mainly by the producers of Joker 2.
Yeah. True. It didn't get any nominations, did it?
No, I don't think it did.
No. We
I
won't
thought
go.
maybe for a song. I can't
What?
Damn it.
remember.
Joker.
What, Joker 2? No, it
I
wasn't
never
nominated for
saw,
anything.
personally, everyone just panned it, so I didn't bother watching Joker 2.
Hmm.
But I will say a lot of presenters were fine. I thought the presenting was fine. Apart from, I thought Selena Gomez was half asleep when she went on.
I don't know why I love her. I think it's because it sounds like she struggles to speak like me, and I have a bond that way.
But
I think you're safe for Only Murders in the Building because that's the only thing I like her in.
Yeah, that's I really enjoyed that. I started watching that a while ago.
I gotta say that the opening performance of like the medley of Wizard of Oz and Wicked songs, I thought was very good.
Yeah, I
Um,
appreciate that. I was
I
hoping
like
to
Beck.
hear Cynthia sing. That's what I was because when I saw Ariana Grande come on, I was like,
She did sing.
where's
Yeah,
I know,
yeah,
but
she
I
did.
I thought when I first saw Ariana Grande, I was like, are we not gonna get Cynthia as well? This seems a bit weird. Can't we just have Cynthia?
Is she not going to do the oh, whoa, whoa, the thing, the bit from Wicked that they keep showing is her doing the end of Defying Gravity, where she goes oh, oh, and then she did it, and I was happy.
Yeah,
Um,
that was needed. But the as I said, the last thing I think I remember watching was the Bond tribute. Why? And can we not?
well,
It's so that they could cut the important people's speeches shorter. Because
I would say it's because they were giving an honorary Oscar to Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson for the franchise, and as well they're stepping down now. So I feel like it was a chance for them to basically go, Bond's fucked, guys. So let's just have a
Say
little in
goodbye.
memoriam, have an in memoriam for the Bond franchise.
Sorry,
I didn't,
speaking of in memoriam, Bernard Hill was not included, which is a
or Tony Todd.
disgrace.
which is a disgrace, an utter disgrace.
How dare they forget Bernard Hill? They
Well, especially because you could have had it open with him being like, "Take it out to sea," and then it would have been a
yes,
great opening bit. Could have
yes.
had him
Or his
inside
bit
Titanic going,
in Lord of the Rings. He was a great actor. I'm really upset about this.
the omission of Tony Todd as well, and Olivia Hussey. Like, Olivia Hussey, she was in Romeo and Juliet, guys, and Tony Todd. It's like Tony Todd's a horror icon, Candyman. Got it. Could have had him do a little. People were upset about there not being any Shannon Doherty or Michelle Trachtenberg. I would just
Oh,
say,
I'm surprised
I,
about Shannon Doherty.
I would say both of them are probably better known for. They've done film, but they're probably better known for telly. So
Yeah, I would
I
agree.
feel like they'll get their moment in the Emmys in memoriam. It was a bit like when Matthew Perry died and he wasn't in the Oscars in memoriam. And it's like, yeah, but he's more a telly actor. Like,
Yeah,
and
but
people
Matthew
are like,
Perry was in a lot of films as well. Not
no, he
Oscar-winning ones,
was.
but you know.
No, but he was, and loads of people are like, he's in this film, and it's like, yeah, but if the way I gauge it is if I went, Matthew, what do I know Matthew Perry from? You'd go Friends, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
The whole nine
You would,
yards. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
you wouldn't go 17 again.
No, you wouldn't say 17 again.
And
He was
so
barely
with
ever.
like Michelle Trachtenberg, you'd be like, where is she from? You go Buffy, Gossip Girl. I mean, personally, I go Harriet the Spy, but so but
Or
also I thought the
Mysterious
song
Skin.
choice,
Yeah.
I thought the song choice was a bit strange.
What was the
Maybe
song?
I can't even remember, but it
I
was
thought,
very dramatic. But I
Hannah
appreciated,
Waddington singing again, is it?
I appreciated that when they did James L. Jones, they showed something other than Darth Vader. If you build it, they will come. Oh yes, they will come. Which is it's a lovely scene. James Earl Jones was a great talent, but I felt like the Bond performance. I'm not really familiar with the three singers. Um,
I don't
I
know
mean,
who
I've
they
No.
heard of
were.
I've heard of Doja Cat because
I've heard of Doja Cat. I've heard of
I'm not.
Blackpink, and I don't know who that other woman was.
Are we too old for the Oscars now? Like they're getting
Oscar's
people
so
we don't
young.
know. Yeah, Oscars say yeah, we don't even know who the singers are anymore.
Well, they all sang very nicely and everything, but I just I couldn't be bothered with it. I thought it was a bit flat, and I thought Margaret Qualley coming out first and dancing. What was the point of that?
So that she can audition to be a Bond girl in the next movie, probably. But
Oh
I
God.
just felt like with that, I felt like the problem is that you've picked three songs, and those three songs are great Bond themes, but they're also by really iconic singers. Like nobody can sing like Dame Shirley. Nobody
Yeah.
can sing like Shirley Bassey. Nobody can sing like Paul McCartney, and nobody can sing like Adele. And you pick the three. You didn't pick, like, View to a Kill by Duran Duran. You didn't pick, you know, one of the
Got a
garbage
license to
songs.
kill.
That's the best Bond theme, in my opinion. Gladys Knight, yes, please. But you've not picked, one of the rubbish, not rubbish, but songs by lesser singers. You've picked three powerhouse voices
It
that I
didn't
just
quite
thought,
hit. They
particularly,
didn't. Yeah.
particularly when you're doing a song by Dame Shirley Bassey, it's like, I do not envy anybody that has to sing a song by
Diamonds Are
Dame
Forever.
Shirley.
It's
Damn,
a
I wish they'd done Goldeneye.
Nah. Oh
Goldeneye.
my God, I love Goldeneye. But again, that's Tina
Give me
Turner. Like that's another
windows.
powerhouse.
I could have done it. Goldeneye.
So good.
I
But
can't defend her. Golden
aside
Eye.
aside from the fact that this was meant to be like a tribute to the producers of Bond,
It was a bit dumb.
I couldn't help but think, obviously, all of these distractions with different tributes, different music, was to avoid the fact that they couldn't and wouldn't have the song nominees perform because weren't two of them Amelia Perez?
Yes.
Is that the reason why they didn't do it this year?
I have a huge feeling that it is because of that. I mean, they're already in enough shit having given them 12 or 13 nominations.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they were
it was a bit
thinking,
like,
do we want to make this worse? Should
well,
we have them
my
perform? No.
my other Amelia Perez backtrack theory is that they were gonna do last year's winner does a fawning little tribute, and they did it for supporting actor, supporting actress, and then they realized that Emma Stone would have to stand on stage and say something nice about Carla Sofia Gascon, and they went, "Do clips, do clips." They said, "Do clips."
Surely, like this is what I would say for every one of them. Good acting, good acting, good acting, great at Twitter.
uh,
I mean,
do you know
terrible at
what?
Twitter.
I mean, a comedian probably would have had the balls to do that, but
Yeah.
I don't think anyone
Yeah.
else would.
Oh, guys, so we had a great time at the awards, didn't we? After party. Did you have a look in your goodie bag that we got for the Film Hounds party? You know what was
Yeah,
in it.
mine's
Have a guess. Have a guess.
Adrian Brody's chewed up chewing gum.
No, a magazine. You can have lots of them because they are available, and I'm giving them away.
Is that a segue into the Film Critics Association drinks where you will be forcefully giving out magazines to people?
So yeah, great after party.
Great after party.
What were you doing
Great
in the
after
toilet
party.
though, Paul?
I was helping get Kieran Culkin ready for baby number 3 and 4.
What are you helping?
Yeah.
That sounds grim.
You can do it, Kieran. You can do it. You can do it if you really want. I was serenading them as they
I felt so
did
sorry for
whatever.
his wife, but yeah.
What were the most awkward moments?
My awkward moment was a speech. It was the Amelia Perez Best Original Song. I'm gonna
Winning. Yes.
Amelia Perez. You can just leave, guys. You don't have to wait for the music. You can just take the statue and leave. You don't have to stand. It's like they were stood there going, God, we still got time, don't we? We still got to keep going. No. That timer on the teleprompter is just a little idea of how long you have. You don't have to stay for the duration and start singing like two absolute knob ends.
That was awful. I saw a clip of that.
Paul, remember, we have a timer here as well. You ignore it.
Well, yeah, but
You have to follow it. You're yeah, exactly.
Amelia Perez.
You don't have to wait and for the
No.
timer to end.
Also, I kind of feel like that win for Amelia Perez was, yeah, we've nominated them for 13 things. We gotta give them something.
Mm.
Well,
And like,
Zoe
what's the
Saldana
least
got it.
offensive thing? Oh, it's a musical. Let's give them the song.
I kind of like that it was a bit spread out because I don't think this year there was like a great film. I think they were all very good, so they all deserve something. Whereas I reckon Oppenheimer, like if it happened this year, would probably win again as well. Would you
Yeah.
I
both?
hope not.
You don't know. I think it would.
I'd like to think it wouldn't. Just I hate it when one. Ugh, the only time I've enjoyed when one film wins everything
Oh, I wonder.
was Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, what a shock. What a bloody shock.
But well, come on, leave it. Apart from the acting awards, Lord of the Rings didn't win those. They won everything else. But
Mm.
Oppenheimer just winning everything just felt boring. But I felt that year was really dull and mismatched. I have to say there was a crowning point for a film that won nothing this year and nominated for like 5 awards. A
What was that?
complete unknown
Oh,
won
you're very
nothing.
very pleased with that because you
I
hate.
was worried Timothy Chalamet was going to win Best Actor. And the thing is, he's a great actor. He just shouldn't have won it for that. And I'm glad he didn't. But at the same time, I don't think Adrian Brody should have won because of the whole AI voice thing.
Because his speech went on for about 8 years. I think he's still doing his speech now.
Oh, it's
I'm
And
not his
glad I
first
didn't stay for
rodeo.
that.
It's not his first rodeo.
oh, that pissed me off.
It
Also,
cringed.
he said I'll be brief twice. If you have to say it twice, you're not being fucking brief, Adrian.
No. But a highlight from that, Adrian Brody's known for grabbing Halle Berry when he won his first Oscar and making out with her against her will. Apparently, she did the same thing to him at the after party. So I feel like we're full circle now.
I kind of would have liked for him to have done it to Killian Murphy.
I think Cillian Murphy would have killed him on stage.
That's why I would have liked for it to.
So on a more positive note, obviously I've got to mention it. I was absolutely ecstatic when Flow won Best Animated Film. Everyone kept saying, like, I doubt it, I doubt it, I don't think so. It's probably going to be Wild Robot. No, it was Flow. And Latvia's first ever Oscar win. Like, I don't know if you've been seeing it on social media or if it's just one in my echo chamber, but Latvia went all out.
I
They
know.
went absolutely crazy. Like, they had a
Yeah.
rave, they had a whole big I don't know where it was in Riga, but they had a big stage set up. The animate like the filmmakers came on stage and was like celebrating with everybody. The entire country was behind them, and I'm just like, this is so wholesome and
No, that
heartwarming.
They chucked a cat in a boat though. That's a bit cruel.
They didn't chuck a cat in a boat.
Is that celebrating? That's very cruel. I don't know if that's true.
no.
That's not
The,
true.
the the two highlights for me was Paul, was it Tatwell, whoever won for Wicked,
Best
being the
costume.
first, yeah, best costume, the first black winner of best costume design was a lovely moment
That
because those
was.
costumes were phenomenal as well. The costumes in Wicked were phenomenal in my opinion,
Is it
and
just for fact checking? I might. He said first black male. Is it just in case there is a?
yeah,
I
yeah,
think he
yeah.
did
Sorry,
say
yes.
black man to win. Yes, I think, yeah, because when people make these sweeping statements, I'm just like, I really hope you fact check that. Because do you remember when, I can't remember his name, British songwriter won for a Bond theme? Sam.
Sam Smith.
That's it. When Sam Smith was like, I'm the first gay man to win an Oscar, and everyone's like, Elton John.
The
I
moment.
thought that was hilarious. He
No,
backtracked
no.
afterwards and he was like, oh yeah, sorry. We're like, how dare you? How
My
dare you get
fish.
up and
No,
say
Yeah.
that?
My official
Paul
role here is fact
Taswell.
checker. Everything you say, I'm fact checking as it goes along. By the way.
Sorry, the name I forgot was Paul Taswell. He was the first black man because Ruth E. Carter has won 2 Oscars very recently for Black Panther and Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Costume. For the costume.
Yeah, costume, yeah. So Ruthie Carter obviously is a black woman, so yeah, he was the first black man to win, and I thought that was a lovely moment.
That
And I
was.
also,
It's well deserved. Those costumes were amazing.
they were phenomenal. They looked exquisite, and also best documentary was
quite emotional
the speech. Yeah, because they were given the chance to actually talk about the conflict in a very balanced way, which I thought was very, very touching.
Yeah.
And out of everybody there, I think they were the only ones who would have given it a balanced speech.
Yeah, absolutely.
No showboating from the other people, which was good.
Going back to A Complete Unknown, so out of the 10 Best Picture nominees, I mean, there's only one winner, but perfectly honest, I think that's one of the ones I probably would rewatch. Sorry, Kay, have you seen it yet? You've not seen it. You refuse.
I refuse.
I can do A Complete Unknown very quickly for you. I'm just nobody, but I'm gonna do a song. Once upon a time, he's dressed so fine. John Baez, he's so sexy. Let's have sex, John Baez.
Stop! I've got it already. I don't need any more.
Hi, I'm Pete Seeger. I've got a big forehead. Will you come and sing at my folk festival? Please don't do any of your electric songs, Bob Dylan. I'm gonna do my electric songs because I'm Bob Dylan. Fuck you, Pete Seeger. Oh, that's really sad.
That's
okay.
Yeah, it's a good film. Paul made it sound even better than it actually is.
I like Bob Dylan. I'm not a massive. I'm not Bob Dylan. I'm not Bob Dylan.
Oh, you're not Bob Dylan.
No, I'm
sorry.
Bob Dylan. Hey,
this is why I was
Dylan.
so angry. I am Bob Dylan. That's why I'm angry about Timothée Chalamet playing.
We only had you on this podcast because we thought you were Bob Dylan. And we had loads of questions ready.
I'm Bob Dylan, guys. I'm going to do it. Once upon a time, you're just so fine.
Thing is, that's actually a really good impression of Timothée Chalamet doing Bob Dylan.
Oh my god! But the thing is, when they did the Oscar clip for him, and he was like, "God damn, Sylvie, I don't care what you said." It was like, I don't think his accent's that good.
Yeah, I'm gonna say in the trailer, you get snippets of it, and you're just like, I bet having to listen to that throughout the whole film would be very annoying.
I thought it was a bit like, I thought it was quite good.
It's a bit like after 2 hours of Austin Butler, John Elvis, hey ladies.
All right, in defense of Austin Butler and how ridiculous that whole thing was, I quite enjoyed that Elvis movie.
Oh no, I liked it. I liked the Elvis film. That was in my top 10 of the year. I thought it was great.
I prefer A Complete Unknown if we're comparing.
I would
compare. One's Baz Luhrmann and one's, what is it?
James Mangold.
Too frantic.
I hope Timmy Chalamet suffers from Austin Butler syndrome and can't stop doing the Bob Dylan voice. And then when he does June Prophecy, he's like, guys, we've got to sort out the spice on the records. Once upon a time, you got some spice. Put your spice in your face. Johnny! I hope he gets stuck with it forever.
Don't ruin June 3. Don't you?
I love that Austin Butler is trapped doing Elvis forever. People are like, you're still doing Elvis. He's like, I don't even sound like Elvis. God damn you. What are you talking about? I'm a bike rider now. God damn it.
Does he sound like that in the Bike Riders? I thought he sounded okay in the trailer.
No, I'm on my bike. I'm on my motorbike, Tom Hardy. God damn you. God, where's Priscilla?
Dear.
I want a hamburger and cheese fries. It's quite fun. I think it's funny that his voice is forever broken and he didn't even win. And now I hope.
What's Austin Butler got coming up? Is there something?
He's in the Bike Riders, and I'm sure
he's
having a break.
He was in June too. Hey, Paul Atreides, come here.
Of course, he was in June too. That's why I'm thinking, like, is his voice really fucked forever? Because he sounded not like Elvis in June too.
House Harkonnen's had enough of your bullshit.
He didn't sound like that. Okay.
He did. And then Timmy Chalamet was like, I'm going to take all the spice, guys.
Okay, Paul's like is stuck in a loop now. We're never going to stop unless we stop the circle.
No,
I was going to say, so David, you actually liked A Complete Unknown.
It was fine. It was fine.
Good. That's good. But yeah, the only one I still haven't seen is I'm Still Here. Because
I haven't seen that, and that's the one I wanted to see.
My eyes get tired sometimes, reading subtitles, but I need to watch it.
This is the thing. There are so many films where I'm like, I can't wait to watch this. Oh, it's subtitles. Not tonight. I'll watch it another time.
Yeah,
And then I'm like,
Yeah,
when is another time going to
you got
be?
to be ready to concentrate.
yeah,
Like
Mm,
a casual watch in the evening is not going to be, unfortunately, Parasite because it's like, yeah, but
yeah.
I'm not in the. I want something I can turn my brain off to, and to read,
yeah.
I've got to concentrate. So it's tough. I do want to say, why is everybody having a meltdown about Anora winning Best Picture?
I feel like it's two kind of meltdowns. People are either having a meltdown because they hate it, or they're having a meltdown because they're ecstatic and so happy about it winning.
It's because they
Because
fucking
I.
hate Take That, and Gary Barlow is really irritating.
I forgot they used
I
that in
This
the film. I need to
could
rewatch
be
Anora,
I
actually.
the.
wanted to escape Take That, and I go to the cinema, and they're fucking in my face. Oh, Paul, you're best mates with Sean Baker, aren't you?
With Sean Baker?
Did you interview him?
I did. I did a round table with him.
Okay, best mates then.
Well, we get on. It's
That's
fine. We're
I
not, it was a round table, so it wasn't as intimate as an interview. It
yeah.
wasn't like when Udo Kier asked me on a date, like highlight of my life.
Oh, that's
Hey,
nice.
when he comes to London, we're going out for drinks, me and Udo Kier, and he's going to tell me all about hanging out in the factory during the Andy Warhol days. I'm very looking forward to it.
I
But
watched
yeah,
on the media library thing, London Film Festival a couple of years ago. There was a short film that had 7 minutes long. I don't know why I watched it, but it had every single death he's had on film just as one short film. It's just 7 minutes of him
Udo
dying.
Kier.
Yeah, I can't remember
Oh
what it's
my
called.
God.
And I watched it and I
I
was
love
like,
it.
what the fuck am I doing with my life?
There's a 50-minute version, and it's all of Sean Bean's deaths.
Yeah,
Oh, I'd watch that. I love Sean Bean,
two
there's a,
even if
days.
when
there's
he
a
dies.
There's a 3 hour version, and it's just every time Samuel L. Jackson says motherfucker in a film, and it goes on for 3 hours.
Someone's definitely got that on YouTube. 100%.
Yeah, it's like, have you ever seen those things where it's like every time Will Smith says, oh, hell no, in a film, and it's like 10 minutes long, and you're like, you say it a lot. It's like every time Brad Pitt eats, every time Tim Curry laughs, every time Christopher Walken dances.
Yeah, as I say, Brad Pitt eating in every film. I think I've seen this one, but I've seen the one where it's just Nicolas Cage screaming, but there's two parts to it.
Oh my God.
Is one of them where he's like him screaming, but it's valid, and then him screaming and there's no justification.
I think it's like
Like,
it's like a mishmash. Like there was enough content for the first one, and they were like, "Should we make a sequel?" And here's some more screaming.
how'd it get burned? How'd it get
Not
burned?
the bees! Not the
Not the
bees!
bee. Killing me won't bring back your goddamn honey.
Yeah, it's classic.
I love Nicolas Cage. But yeah, I feel like the backlash against Denora makes no sense to me, really. Like, obviously, sometimes the movie you like doesn't win, whatevs. You know, sometimes Green Book wins when it should have been Black Klansman. Sometimes the artist wins, and you've just got to suck it up and deal with it.
I
You
liked
know.
the artist. I thought the artist was
Oh,
worthy.
Where is the backlash happening?
The backlash is happening on the internet where everything takes place.
I
yes.
don't use that anymore.
And
I
obviously
thought the
in
art.
Mariana Frostrop's like living room where she's just screaming at the TV constantly, having to watch clips of Renora keep coming up. She's like, no, too much nudity. No.
Because as a man of the people, I get all my backlash from the buses and the trains, and I've not heard anyone talking about Honora.
It's just
I've not heard anyone on the buses talk about any of these films because they're not Marvel films. Or
Who's talking on the buses?
I talk to everyone on the bus.
Wait, you're talking to people on buses.
Yeah. Well,
Have you heard the Filmhounds podcast?
I can imagine him handing out magazines to people. You spoke to me for a minute. Here's a magazine.
like those people with the big issue, but it's just David. Filmhounds.
tomorrow I'm going out. I'm going to take a bag of magazines and talk to people on the train.
Don't do that. You'll get beaten up.
This is my moment to shine with my
Loving
microphone.
father of two, head kicked in on Southwestern train.
Actually, if it's rugby on, you're going to get your head kicked
47
in.
magazines. It's just,
Southeast London. I will get
the backlash. The backlash
shanked.
just makes no sense to me because it's like,
What are people actually saying? Because the stuff I've just seen is just people complaining about a film about a sex worker winning and how like, oh, there were other films that were more justified and all this
yeah,
guff.
that it's a sexist film. I've heard because obviously it's about a sex worker.
That was it. People were complaining. I think it was Marilla Frostrop again. I really. She was saying how it's very male gazy.
Also, male gazy maybe, but then I would actually say, in terms of how the sex scenes in Anora are shot versus say a lot of the stuff in the substance is very like here's a bottom, here are more bottoms, here are some boobies, here are
Here's a
lips.
crutch. Here's more of the crutch. Here's
Here's
chicken
yeah,
wing coming out of the butt.
I'm searching
like
for an interesting fact about sex workers. Talk amongst yourselves while I look.
the oldest profession. But like the substance was properly like, uh, Margaret Qualley's bottom in lycra in a like lycra, just like bottom, 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 boobies,
It was
lips,
crutch
lips,
mostly, I would argue. More crutch than
thrusting,
backside.
Oh,
bottom,
Pump it
thrusting,
up,
bottom.
baby, pump it up. Yeah.
Margaret Qualley's body wasn't real in it, I heard as well. Is that true?
Well, there might have been padding. I don't know.
Yeah. So when
Padding.
she's
More like
naked,
Well,
sheen. Sheen.
to be fair, a lot of the film reminded me of that Eric Prince video. Color me, color
Yes.
me,
Except
color
less
me.
fun and more menacing.
Yeah, except if at the end of the music video they all got sprayed with entrails. Color. Goo on me, goo on me, goo on me. And whereas Anora, like when they're having the sex, it's shot slightly further back. It's a bit more kind of,
It's more
I don't know.
open. It's not
It's
intimate.
less
It's because
less
if it was intimate,
titillating.
yeah, there's no, it's quite clever how they don't show that this couple have proper intimacy because most of the sex scenes are shot, as you said, from far away. They're not right up in there. There's no like special angles. It's just like them doing a couple of positions and then it cuts to the next scene.
And also, anyone who thinks that this is, I don't think there's anything wrong with sex work as long as you are choosing to go into sex work willingly
Yeah.
and you're not being trafficked, blah blah blah. Um, People are saying, "Oh, it glorifies sex work," and it's like, well, I don't think it glorifies anything. In the same way that I don't think Oppenheimer glorifies building the atomic bomb. I think it presents a person who is doing a job, whether it's Joe Robert Oppenheimer or Honora, and it's just looking at the realities. And Sean Baker's work has always done this. If you look at Red Rocket, if you look at the Florida Project has somebody becoming a sex worker through desperation. Red Rocket is about a sex worker who is just a bad dude.
Yeah.
Mikey Saber, bad dude. Um, and then if you look at something like I saw a great tweet. I don't know who said it, but they were like, the problem is that it's a male gazy thing that is about a white woman being a sex worker, and it doesn't like deal with the reality of like people of color. I would love for somebody to make a film about a person of color being a sex worker, and someone just went, "Might I show you Sean Baker's 2016 film Tangerine?"
Tangerine.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like the one
These
he did on an
comments
iPhone about transgender black sex workers.
these comments are
He's
coming
done
from
it. He's
people
done it.
who they're coming from people who aren't familiar with Sean Baker's filmography or anything he's done previously. All they're going to know him for is he made Honora. It won the Palme d'Or, and now it's won all the awards, and now it's won best film at the Oscars. People are only going to know this. They're not going to bother to look into anything to
Also,
back up their ridiculous like comments. Like, fair enough, if you don't like the film because you don't like the story, you don't like the actors, you don't like the characters, fine. But if you're just shitting on it, going like it's male gazy because it's about this woman who's a sex worker, and it glorifies. If anything, it does not glorify. It shows the horrible reality, and even worse, like she gets this opportunity to come out of this world that she's in, and it's a Cinderella story. And someone was saying that, what was it? This is what a pretty woman is basically glorifying it. Honora isn't. It's showing the horrible reality of her situation, especially by the end. No spoilers.
Honora is a lot like if you ever hear about the original screenplay for Pretty Woman, which was called
That's it.
3000.
Yeah.
And at the end of 3000, he pays her the $3,000 and goes back to his life.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas in Pretty Woman, when they rewrote it and they Hollywoodified it, he falls in love with her and then they go off and they live happy. And she's a Disney princess and it's lovely. And
Yes.
Honora is more. Also, nobody can watch the. I defy anyone to watch that final scene in the car with her and your man and be like, oh, yeah, no, that's a happy ending.
No, it's devastating, isn't it?
Who said it was a happy ending?
Well, people just said, "Oh, it's this fantasy and all this stuff," and also
she breaks down and cries. That's not a happy ending.
Another thing I saw was people saying, because it beat A Real Pain to Best Original Screenplay, which did shock me because I thought A Real Pain was going to win screenplay. And somebody did a comparison, and it was the screenplay for A Real Pain, which is like reams of dialogue, just like it's just dense dialogue. And then Honora, and they were like, so this, and to be fair, whenever you take stuff out of context, you can always pick the worst scene in one film and the best scene in another film, and it's like that's not fair. But they picked, I don't know, one confrontation between the two characters in A Real Pain, like a real emotional dialogue heavy scene. They went, this didn't win, but this, and it was the scene, where they grab Honora and she kicks your man into the coffee table and she calls him, I'm going to use an offensive word, she calls him a faggot, and she says that he has like a rape face, and they're like, this won Best Original Screenplay. And it's like, also, just to point out, films can portray people that say offensive things without endorsing what they're saying. The reality is, and if you go on Twitter, you see the reality is a lot of people still use the F word casually. The reality is a lot of people use the word retard. That's making a big comeback, and I'm not comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, people I like use the R word casually. And you're like, that's not an okay word. They're not a bad person, but they're using a bad word. And, if you're making a judgment call about a film, it's like, Tarantino's dropping N words like they're sweets at a party. Like, Scorsese movies are always featuring characters slapping the crap out of their wives. Like, every Scorsese movie that's critically lauded is horrific to women because that's the stories he's telling and that's the sort of work. But you don't come out of Goodfellas thinking Henry Hill is what a great guy. You come out of it going, what a horrible coke-addicted woman-beating dick.
This is also the point that Sean Baker was making, isn't it? Is about the independent films. Like,
yeah,
if Disney were making this, obviously, it wouldn't be true to life. It wouldn't be showing those areas of life where things like this, people are talking like that, people are doing things like this. So he is shining a light on that area, and he's not sugarcoating it.
Yeah, it's also another thing about the independent film side of it. If this was a studio film, I don't think people would be complaining as much because it's sort of like being endorsed by the big studio, so therefore it must be good. It is good. But because an independent film's come in and gone like, hey, look, this is the reality.
Exactly.
I think people just complain about everything all the time, non-stop anyway now. So
this is true also.
Every single film, a vanilla film, will say, oh, it's too vanilla.
Well, yeah, for me, I mean, I really liked Nora. Nora was in my top 10 of the year. But, like,
yeah,
I think what would have happened is, regardless of what won, people would have found a fault with any of the winners. So
True.
if it wasn't Nora, it would be Wicked isn't lit well. If it isn't that, which I don't agree with, but whatever. If
lit
it was,
well, okay.
That's what everyone goes on about, that it's not lit well. And then, if it was a complete unknown,
the people on the buses, is that what you're saying? They're talking about it not lit well.
And then, complete unknown, it's too safe. And then Nickel Boys, you'd have the people saying only won because it's about black people. And then if it was, whatever won,
people would complain. Yeah.
My only thing is, plus side, Amelia Perez didn't.
A complete unknown is not safe. He went electric, and the crowd lost their fucking mind, Paul. That is the least safe film I've seen this year.
That is because Pete Seeger just wanted to have a little folk
All
festival. Please don't do your
right.
electric music, Bob Dylan. Pete
Enough.
Seeger here.
This is the part. This is the part on the podcast I'm going to try and fade out, and then I'm going to come back. I'm coming back
20
like
minutes later.
with a. So I did look into something about sex workers. Saw a lot of interesting pictures on Google Images. Probably shouldn't have went there. But what the fact was, and we can potentially play a game with it. I don't think it's rude or offensive. But did you know that apparently 14 Academy Award winners have portrayed sex workers? 14.
Can I guess?
Yeah, you can have a go.
Is one of them Jodie Foster?
Yes. 4. I'm gonna write down points. You can take a turn each. Look, we're having a
Is it
quiz.
Richard Gere? Richard Gere? Gere? What's his name?
That's not a film name, is it? That's a person.
Richard Gere is a person.
No,
Yeah,
no.
what
What film? No,
Oh, American Gigolo?
asking-
No,
no, what film
Oh.
did Jodie Foster win for?
Taxi.
Yeah.
Taxi driver.
no. Well, no, it's not.
No,
Oh.
did she win for
No.
is it Little Man Tate?
I'm trusting this list I've found. It's not off the top of my head, as you can imagine. The Accused, 1988.
She was a prostitute in that?
Sex worker.
Who's the
Sorry, I'm so sorry. But back then it would have been prostitute, so I'm being
That back then. Oh, Jodie Foster won for playing a hooker.
You can say prostitute still, can't you?
Oh,
according to Paul, we're not allowed.
He's the expert, the resident expert on sex workers.
I think prostitute and prostitution has negative connotations versus sex work, which is
It depends. If was Jodie
I'm not a sex
playing
worker.
a sex worker, so she was doing it of her own accord, or was she a prostitute, so she was forced into it?
That's a good question.
Is that what
I can think of? I can think of
prostitutes mean?
two. I can think of two winners. Is one of them Julia Roberts?
No. She was nominated, I
Oh.
think.
Meryl Streep?
No.
Halle Berry.
Yes.
Halle
Halle
Berry
Berry.
for Monsters
Monsters
Ball.
Ball. Yeah.
She wasn't a sex worker in that.
As I said, this list might not be accurate.
That's not accurate.
As the sex, no, not as the sex worker checker, as the facts checker, I will fact check after. And just to reiterate, for this episode, I am the fact checker, not the sex worker checker.
Did John Voight win for? Did John Voight win?
Midnight Cowboy.
No,
For
I can
Midnight
read the list.
Cowboy?
I feel
Read the
like
list to
people
me.
won for not famous sex worker roles.
Oh no! Do you know what? I think he might have, but this is just of women.
Oh,
This
is it
just
just
has
women?
this
Oh.
list just
Oh.
has women.
That's why Richard Gere wasn't on there.
But I don't know if
do
he
you know what?
did.
Do you know what?
No,
Do you know what?
he
Hit
didn't.
me with. Tell me who these. So you're saying how many? 14 women.
It just says 14 Academy Award winners for the
That's
role
why we
of
thought
men
portraying
as
a
well.
sex worker.
Tell me what they are, because I actually can't think.
It says Janet Gaynor for Seventh Heaven, 1927. Joe Van Fleet, East of Eden,
Oh,
1955.
there's a prostitute or sex worker in that?
Let's fact check the list after. And
East of Eden, as in
Yeah.
based on John Steinbeck book.
I'm reading the list. I do not have anything more than that. The Lion King.
I knew to know
Can you
Pimble with two
pay
happy.
for love tonight?
Oh, God. We're going to offend some people.
Should
So
I?
who
Should
are the
I?
who are
Alright,
the
I'll
other
read through the
names?
list quicker.
Yeah.
Elizabeth
read them
Taylor,
quick.
Shirley Jones,
Wait, Elizabeth Taylor for what?
Butterfield 8,
No.
1960. I should read it like the football results.
Halle Berry, Monsters Ball, 2001.
But she's not a sex worker in that.
Okay, I'm going to cut that out so I look
Oh my
factually
God.
accurate.
Don't you dare.
Does it?
Jane Fonda, Clute.
Oh, Clue. I didn't like Clue, you know. I thought it was going to be really good, and I just found it very dull and unentertaining. And I found the two main characters so like uncharismatic. Huh?
Did she just lay back? Is that why?
No, surprise, like there isn't actually much sex in it. It's just her like talking to Donald Sutherland, and it's just I thought it was going to be more of like an investigation, but it's just a lot of long, boring conversation.
Yeah, it's a bit like this podcast, really, isn't it?
You
Unless
know,
we're talking
you
about
know,
sex workers. Mira Sorvino, Mighty Aphrodite.
she won an award for that. Okay.
Well, as I say these, can someone Google them so you can't hear me tapping, just in
M-
case it's wrong?
Mighty Aphrodite does sound that yeah, she does play a sex worker in that. That's a Woody Allen film. It's not very good.
Kim Basinger,
Oh, La Confidentiale.
yeah, which is a great film.
That is a great film. You have to overlook the spacey, but unfortunately, even he's good in it.
That Guy Pearce performance.
Actually, no, Guy Pitt. The thing is, everybody's really good in the film. Like, what are you gonna do?
James Cromwell particularly good.
I need to watch it again.
So good.
Halle,
He's
oh,
good.
I said
LA
Halle Berry.
Confidential is good.
Charlie
Uh,
Theron.
Oh, in Monster.
Monster.
Yeah. Aileen Wuornos. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
fair.
Emma Stone.
Very sad.
Poor
Poor
Things.
Things? Oh, yes.
That's a definite. Come on, there's no
Sorry,
way.
for a
Yeah.
second there, I forgot she won for Poor Things, and I was thinking of
La
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 La Land. I was like, did I miss that bit? Did I miss that dance sequence?
There's probably a
Uh,
great cut between those two films.
City of Stars.
Let's say a
Are you
side note, we should
just
have
for
debated
me?
on past best picture winners
Next year,
next year.
if you're still going, Kate.
Crash!
If you're
Crash!
still going,
Greenblood!
and the
La La
final
Land.
one,
Gump!
you will never guess the
Who?
last one.
Helen
Is it
Mirren.
Mikey Madison for
Yeah.
Anorang?
Good guess, Paul. Good guess.
Should have said Helen Mirren for just anything.
Oh shit! I was supposed to. I was trying to think of one.
Helen Mirren getting her bats out once again.
Yeah, she goes again.
And that is
Yeah.
this week's sex worker section, brought to you by
There
Film
she
Hounds magazine
goes.
from
And that's
There she
Film Hounds,
goes
available
again.
from filmhounds.co.uk. Friend of the sex workers.
just, do you remember in the ceremony? Well, I obviously remember it because it's the one award I cared about. When after Flo won Best Animated Picture and
Did Flo win
Conan
Best Animated
O'Brien.
Picture?
Best
When you say
Animated Picture.
Flo, I keep thinking it's the person's name, and you're like
It's
good
not,
mates with
it's-
them.
Miss
No,
Flo.
you know, Flo. Like, why would I talk about
Auntie
random?
Flo.
Conan O'Brien, it's like after the award was announced, he came out and said that was Latvia's first win, first ever Oscar win, and he just goes, "The ball's in your court, Estonia." But he said it for something else as well, and no one laughed. But he was like, "I don't think that was going to go down well." But it reminded me of this is a really big segue into something non-film related.
You might be censored.
To Eurovision, because I keep getting the Estonian selection for Eurovision. So whenever I hear the ball's in your court, Estonia, after hearing this, the guy who's been put forward
Are they
from
just submitting
Estonia,
those guys that go, "We are the winners of Eurovision"?
no, it's a guy singing about macchiato, about a coffee. Mi por favore, mi amore, macchiato,
we've
macchiato.
to be fair, we've submitted much worse acts to Eurovision.
It's a good act.
We've submitted much worse in our time. Like there were some years where we were like, I don't know, just grab some geezer off the street. I'm like,
A few years ago, it was that poor guy with like that terrible outfit, golden black outfit he was wearing. He sang pretty well, but the song was naff, and it was just like, you're gonna get nowhere, mate. No one
I
likes the
just
UK.
remember, I just remember the year that we had that guy rapping with all those women dressed as schoolgirls. What did you learn at school today? And he was like rapping, and it's like, oh, you're like 40, mate. Come on. Come
Yeah,
on, it's the world stage. This is why we're not in the EU anymore.
this is why I
Gemini,
like
mille
the
fois.
no God. This is why I like Estonia's uh
Have you
pick.
ever seen,
True.
Samantha Womack from EastEnders, Ronnie Mitchell? She sang at Eurovision as our entry one year. She sang a song called "Message to Your Heart," but the problem is that I've seen like her perform it really well at Eurovision. She starts in the wrong key and she can never get out of it, and so she sings the entire 3 minute song in the wrong key. It's the most painful thing because it's like, oh no, you've just started. It's not like she's like, but it's just slightly wrong, and it's
So bad.
honestly, look it up. It's so painful because you can see on her face that she's like, I fuck this, but
Yeah.
she's done it. It's quite funny.
Do you think there's many films like that that start off in the wrong key and they just cannot get out of it? It's probably most bad films.
When you say the wrong key, do you mean
It
it just
starts off
starts off bad,
and then it just
keeps getting
continues.
worse?
Do
Yeah.
you know what? That's actually not a bad question.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks. That's the first time you said it. And how many have we done of these now?
Do you know what? I would say Amelia Perez. It's just the wrong tone for the story, and they
No,
never get out of that wrong tone. But you're like, musical and drug cartel don't mix, and you can't get out of it now, and it's just going.
I think it's good. I like it because the way I like. I guess I'm not spoiling it, but the way it ends, it kind of is a car crash. That isn't a spoiler if you've not seen it,
The
but there is a car crash at the end. Um, yeah, so it kind of is a car crash film, and it ends with a car crash. So I think the tone is perfect.
Fortunately, it gave us that excellent gif of Amelia Perez just taking the gun out to show people and putting it back in, which is a great reaction gif. It's up there with that really lovely gif of Honora like walking up to the house where she's got like the big jacket on and she's just like toddling in there, which is also a phenomenal gif to use.
I was going to say, I have an answer to your question.
Okay.
I would say the girl in the pool starts off
Oh my God.
bad and then it just keeps getting worse.
You've probably, out of everyone in the world, given that the most coverage.
I know, it needs something. I feel sorry for it, but I also think it's bad. It's a bad film.
So that's it. Another year done, another Oscars given out. We're not going to predict what's happening at the 2026 Oscars because that's a fool's errand and it's too early to tell. But I'm sure if we're still here in a year's time, we will do another roundup of that. Thank you for listening. This has been the Film Hounds podcast with David, Paul, and Katie. You can follow us on our social channels. Film Hounds Mag on the Twitter/X, at Film Hounds on Letterboxd and on Instagram. We are a print magazine. You can find the details of how to purchase it at www.filmhounds.co.uk, where you can also find reviews, articles, interviews, news updates, and anything else that tickles your fancy. Or you can find us on YouTube as well. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
See you on the buses.
I won't see you, but you'll hear us.
You can't see us. You can hear us.
You can't see us, but we can see you.
Yeah. You don't have my permission to look at me.
Do you want to stop recording?
Yeah.
Yeah.